All right, guys, are you serious? Today we are very serious, and we have a special guest with us today, Jonathan Otto. He's an investigative journalist, a natural health researcher, documentary filmmaker, and a humanitarian, and really just an all-around great guy. Okay, and so it's great to have you, Jonathan, with us today with myredlight.com. And so tell us what is so amazing. I'm already hearing a ton of great things about red light therapy, and my wife's been sharing it with me already. But walk us through, and welcome to the broadcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. It's great to be here with you, Paul, and I appreciate your just warm spirit. You certainly have a charisma about you that I can see why people like love you and follow you. So, yes, your wife is the seer in this relationship. I can see she's ahead of the curve, and she's the one telling you about things. It's typical with women, and people are uncovering all kinds of facts about red light therapy. It's kind of typically been understood that it's to do with beauty and aesthetics, even though that is a factor. But if you look at my research, for example, you look at the fact that for the past 10 years, I've been whistleblowing on what's going on with all kinds of things around the world. And most importantly, with what's causing cancer and real solutions that are effective, that work. And I've worked with some of the world's best experts when it comes to having them collaborate with me. And often actually what's happening a lot now is that I'm even working directly with some of these top experts, and they're calling me on these complicated cases to get my help in understanding how to solve these cancer cases, which is super rewarding and amazing because we're seeing such amazing results. So when you bring up something like that, and then you bring up red light therapy, you start thinking, well, I don't really understand how light could be so influential with a process like cancer, but the studies are almost unbelievable. And I'm talking about mainstream studies that you can find on PubMed. And I put this in front of doctors, holistic doctors all the time, and they almost can't believe what I'm showing them. I'll just give you one example, and I'll let you give me some feedback. But one example would be a triple negative and non-triple negative breast cancer study with human cells in vitro. They tested these tumor lines with four different types of red light, which was, in this case, it was 615, 630, 660, and 730. And they found that one of them, it was 660, that could reduce the proliferation of the breast cancer by 40% in 24 hours. And
what?
I'll show you the articles. I'll just pull them up on screen.
Just from the red light therapy, it
24 hours.
40% reduction in the growth. Yeah.
Yep. And so, this was through TMF micrographs. They're finding that these cells are flattening out, showing autophagy. These cancer cells are dying off. They're seeing it real time. It's hitting all the markers. And look, that was 24 hours. And I'm not saying that, okay, people need to just expect they'll just go and, 24 hours or 2 sessions, they'll be done. But
right.
But the response, how quickly the body responds to light, is one of the most shocking things I've seen in my career. It's true.
That's interesting when you say light, because we know, light is the life giver. I mean, right? The sun, God created light, in the beginning, it was the first thing he did. So, I mean, this is quite interesting but why red? Why does the color red make such a difference?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. Well, firstly, like the Nobel Prize was won in 1903 for light therapies by Niels Finsen. So, I mean, that's 120 years ago. So light therapies. So light therapies is critical. And there are light therapies outside of the red spectrum that are beneficial. So that's interesting. But then why red? It is interesting that these studies, you saw an example of 4 different types of red light, and only one of them being the one that was catalytic for this breast cancer reduction, which was 660, which is actually like the kind of the peak of where the red is right there, because it changes. Like if it's down at 600, it's more orange and yellow. And so it's
So it's
interesting
a
that
light spectrum. It's a
it's true.
spectrum you got to get.
It's true. But what's interesting is that there are conditions that are more responsive at those other wavelengths. And so I'm not saying that that's the best one and the only one. And then it's interesting that there's red light that you can't see, which is called near infrared and far infrared. But especially near infrared is something it's called the optical window, which is between 600 and 1100 nanometers. And it's red and it's near infrared, and you can't see it once it's past 800. But why? It's because of the depth of penetration that happens within that. But anything further than 1100, it penetrates too deep. And what happens is that, which is good still, but it's good for heating the body temperature and increasing the immune system, but it misses the mitochondria. So if you want to affect the mitochondria and the cells, which account for about 25% of the cells, not red blood cells, but organ cells, thyroid, heart, brain, you're talking thousands of mitochondria per cell. Okay. And they need light more than any other thing to produce energy. And they produce ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And then when they do that, they can perform all cellular function. Okay. Including producing hormones or detoxifying the body. You want to tell me what cells do? Just list out the 100 things that cells do. Every one of those requires energy to perform them. None of them can be performed without energy. And you're wondering why you're sick and tired, but you need to think about what's going on in your cells. And if you don't have gas in the tank of your car, you're wondering why it's not driving. It's the same thing with energy production in the cell. If you don't have energy production, your body won't work properly. Your cells won't work properly. Right. So mitochondria is the key to that. And the optical window is that red and near infrared. That's heavily validated in clinical studies. All right.
So this red light therapy, you're taking on cancer, and that's just one of the things. But you've been focusing in that area, and you've been seeing the results has been incredible in the studies. So and this is certainly a much better natural path approach to, when you think about all the different types of therapy people go through when they're dealing with cancer. The fact that so this help prevent, or is this more of once someone's been identified with breast cancer, let's say, is this just a great alternative treatment for it? Or does it help as a preventative?
Yeah, sure. I believe that it's interesting that I don't know of any studies where they think exactly the way that you're thinking. And in some ways, it's such a threat to the industry to even claim that. But if you just think about the fact, like we gave breast cancer as an example. So if you think about mammography, waiting till cancer is the size of a lump, and then you go, okay, well, what's better than that? And non-invasive and can actually cause cancer and can give false positives. There's 1.3 million cases of women that got their breast removed when they didn't even have breast cancer. And so that's an example. But then you'd say, well, thermography is better because it can detect it when it's the size of a pin. But then you'd say, well, what is even better than that? And then you'd say, well, something that could prevent it and that's proven to do so. And so people just have to me, use the wisdom that God has given them to put the dots together on this, because something that is helping to reverse something is something that can help to actually, solve it from happening and stop it from happening in the first place. So I'll give some examples here. Okay. Just if you look at my screen here, check this out.
Here, let me.
Can you see this?
Screen. Let me put it. There it is. There's your screen. Yep. Got it.
Awesome. Okay. So then you have a look at this. So 24 hours post-exposure time point, only LED. Okay. So, but this is in vitro breast cancer. And here we've got the wavelengths listed that I mentioned. And then it was both non-negative, triple negative, and non-triple negative breast cancer origin cell lines, and then this so is irradiated, which shows you something about how red light works as well. That 24 hours after all the effects are still being seen in the body. So it's not while you're doing it that it's just like, oh, wow, this is helping me right now. It's actually effective for that full 24-hour period thereafter, 48 hours, 72 hours thereafter. And you'll see all these things, because look what happens at 24 hours post-exposure time point. Only LED red light with wavelength 660 nanometers possess anti-proliferative effects against both cell lines with 40% reduction of cell viability. And then the morphology of LED 660 nanometer irradiated cells were found flattened and with enlarged cell size, typical characteristic of cell senescent, which is showing a cell dying. Indications of autophagy activities following the irradiation, which is like light therapies is referred to as irradiation, have been provided, etc. So so to answer your question, if you see this and that's happening at that level, would this be preventative? I believe if you look at studies on how the risk for all diseases go up once you get out of the sun, that tells you just straight up.
Yeah, that tells you.
Yep.
The more sunlight, the more that obviously you're feeding the energy. You're feeding the cells from the light.
You got it.
Yeah,
got it.
Same process here.
And then they clear out, they do all these things. They like something called mitophagy, which is the mitochondria going through autophagy and apoptosis, and they die off. So when you think about like what is causing cancer in the first place, and there's something called the mitochondrial stem cell connection, and that's a big part of where cancer is taking grounds, because one of them being the parasites are inside the cells, intracellular parasites, and then the cells are not able to produce the energy that they need. And as a result, there's this abnormal growth, because the stem cell production of the body is connected to the mitochondria. And if that energy production is not happening properly, then the cell only gets to a certain point and it doesn't keep maturing. So it stays as an infant cell, or like an immature cell with immature characteristics. It doesn't upgrade. It doesn't become a normal heart cell or a red blood cell or an eye cell. It stays in this middle ground, actually referred to a cancer stem cell. And then you think, okay, well, could I reverse this? And it's called redifferentiation or differentiation therapy, where you're actually switching your cancer stem cells back to normal healthy cells. And it's actually heavily validated, and it can be done. And they just lack certain things. They lack oxygen. They lack hormones, cytokines. And so it's pretty awesome, man.
Wow. And I see that where it says that it's the 630 nm wavelength light at 37.
There you go. Yeah.
And that's kind of like that's been determined that that's kind of like the optimum wavelength.
It's one of them. Yeah, it would be one of several. And in this case with lymphoma, it's almost unbelievable. Look at it was three patients. There was a 2006 pilot study on cutaneous B-cell lymphoma. They used LEDs. Here it was a 630 nanometer wavelength emitted by a diode lamp, used at a fluence of 37 joules per centimeter squared. That's the amount of power. All the treated patients had complete remission, defined as a clinical and histologic complete absence of CBCL after a maximum of 2 photodynamic sessions at a 1-week interval. It's almost unbelievable. How is that possible? How are people getting these kinds of results in these kinds of periods of time? It just gets more fascinating. But let's look at a larger study here. This is a prostate cancer study, and this was a European. And this is through the University College London, a peer-reviewed publication. And then you'll see here it was published. This study was published in the Lancet Oncology. Found that 49% of the patients treated with VTP, which is vascular photodynamic therapy, which is using a laser over the prostate, which is red light therapy, and then here so 49% go into remission, compared to 13.5% in the control group that didn't take the light therapy.
Wow, that's a big difference. That's a huge difference.
413 participants. And the thing with this is it's the only one variable, because that's part of a clinical study, meaning that they arguably, like, look at these sources that are being referenced. They're arguably all doing conventional therapies, which we might have a little bit of disagreement on as to, are these the best therapies? And even still, those were the results. But as well, like, people don't want to see like 50%. I don't want to be the other 50%. But I believe that this is one of several therapies that are really effective. And so combine the therapies and look at other things, and the antiparasitics. And antiparasitics become much more effective when they are combined with red light therapy, which is
Sort of
pretty
like a
awesome.
catalyst. It's sort of like a catalyst. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, I'd rather be the 49% than the 11%. I mean,
yeah, 13.5 exactly.
yeah. And so you're saying, okay, that's just one component to this process, but it's obviously you can't. The numbers don't lie. I mean, that's a big jump. So then there's other factors, right?
Well, exactly. And in this case, they were probably doing radiation chemosurgery. And what happens there is that is going to drop down, even from mainstream sources. They're going to say, look, this has issues, and so we're not going to deny the fact that this could have taken a lot of lives during the process as well. And so it throws off the numbers. But the key is there, even just as one variable, and in this case, it increased the survival chances by four times, by 400%.
Wow.
And if you had even a 10% increase in possibility of getting better, you would take it. And so people need to know about that. And this is an example of something that is understood as incurable, like a glioblastoma typically, and the survival rate is typically around 9 months. And so what's happening here is that photodynamic therapy, which is when you combine a photosensitizer with the red light therapy, which is like methylene blue, curcumin, berberine, chlorophyll are examples. And they'll absorb into the cells, including the tumor cells, and help cause apoptosis. And this here was suggesting promising results, since it appears to prevent permanent neurological deficits and reduce post-treatment hemorrhage and sepsis. So that's huge. And this other part here, which is, let's see, this has led to this photodynamic therapy, which uses photosensitizers, light to induce cell damage. Okay, and this here was, and they were showing as well that it was preventing the tumors from growing back after surgery, which is why the prognosis is so bad, and why so many people and the life expectancy is so low. And that's been, and so
what you're saying also is, you're not saying this is an alternative to some of the traditional
go ahead, sir.
whether it be surgery or chemotherapy or what have you. You're not saying that's not a replacement for that. You're saying this is an enhancement for that.
Well, I'm
In
saying
some
that
cases, or is it, or do you got to take it on a case to case basis?
Well, I'm saying that, okay, like if I was doing those conventional therapies, I would add it in, and that would be called integrative. For me, I wouldn't do those other therapies.
I understand. So it's a personal choice, but you're saying even if you were, you would still do this because this is good. Yeah, I got you.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying, even with all those invasive therapies, to me, that are damaging the immune system, even still, that's how powerful, when you fuel the mitochondria, it is, which includes encouraging people to get into sunlight exposure. And this is, and here's some more examples here. This was with lung cancer. They found here that with inoperable lung cancer, that photodynamic therapy proved an alternative for palliative chemotherapy or radiotherapy in unresectable, which is inoperable lung cancer, as it achieved an overall response of nearly 87% and improved patient quality of life. Isn't that cruel?
That's incredible.
That you are not hearing about these things. And by that, it means overall response. I'm not saying that 87% went into remission, but what it is saying is that 87% had a dramatic and significant result that was measurable, which could mean just that. It's just that that was the marker that they were looking for, and they may not have tracked it all the way through. They said, wow, these people are responding. And so lung cancer would be the near infrared, which would be the 800s to 1100. Those would be the ones. But this is an example of the fact that researchers found that photoimmunotherapy may become the fifth major cancer treatment after surgery. And this is according to the pharmaceutical complex. A recent study published by the Institute of Cancer Research, based on trials with mice, showed that shining near infrared light on brain tumor cells activated an anti-tumor compound, activated by an anti-tumor compound, which would be a photosensitizing agent, chlorophyll, curcumin, berberine, methylene blue, targeted and killed the cancer cells. And this is a new treatment called photoimmunotherapy. But that compound, varies. There's all different types of ones getting used, but generally things that are in themselves effective against cancer, then combined with red light therapy, become more effective. And that goes with antiparasitics as well, which is It's pretty cool, man.
I mean, I had not heard this. I mean, this is the 5th major cancer treatment. So it's again,
Will
it
become, it may
will
become,
become,
right?
it may become because there's such good positive results
That's why.
already in the studies. Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of like they can't beat it at this point. They can't fight it. And this is an example here in terms of when we talk about wavelengths of, why did 660 work for breast cancer? And it's to do with the fact of where it's landing,
I see.
right? So this kind of starts to make some sense now, right? So
Yep.
480, which is blue, people think of blue as bad, and it is from like low quality sources because it flickers, but red light is bad from low quality sources as well. It flickers and it's causing damage to your eyes, whereas red light therapy will actually improve your eyesight by 17% after one session, according to clinical studies, if you're over 40 and if it's done in the morning. And it's for 3 minutes once a week or 1 minute 3 times a week. But I've seen way bigger improvements than 17%. And that was one session. So, I mean, it's
Wow.
amazing to
I
know
mean,
about
I'm
that.
over 40. If it, why the morning? Is it just,
Circadian rhythm? Yeah,
yeah, okay.
circadian rhythm. It's
Okay.
to do, like everything is connected. It's crazy that your body knows, this is the morning. Like the people that did it in the afternoon, like there wasn't those same benefits. It had to be the morning. And so like you need to know the parameters of the study. They were pretty close to the line. They had their eyes open, which people have protective eyewear. But even if you don't have your eyes open, you've got your eyes closed, it'll go through the eyelid. So people, even if they're super cautious, they don't want to open their eyes, they'll still get benefits with their eyesight. And I've seen cases of like 93-year-olds getting their eyesight back and like within a single session, like where they could read the television and they're saying, what's wrong with the television? When they got dementia, they're like saying, what's wrong with this television? I can read it and I can see the colors. Like what changed? Who changed this television? It's like, no, that's your eyesight. It just changed. It must have changed. How did that this 21 minutes after we had this on your eyes, what's happening? And so the mitochondria in your eyes, the mitochondria in your cerebellum, you have hundreds of thousands of mitochondria in your cerebellum. And you think about the fact that your eyes are like solar panels. They're supposed to take in light, and then and it fuels other areas of your body, like the cerebellum that has the most mitochondria of all parts of the body. But anyway, I'll just go over this. So
I'll just stop for a second.
Yeah.
Because I had a stroke where it damaged the optic nerve in my left eye. And the reason I'm wearing sunglasses in my studio because of the bright lights from studio lights or sunlight is because the pain, if I don't have these on, feels like somebody's stabbing me with a needle in the eye. So I wear these. So I'm sitting here listening to what you're saying here, saying, could it do some wonders for repairing of the optic nerve in the eye? I don't know. I'm curious about this improvement of people's eyesight with red light.
Yes. No, it can. And I've seen cases of that. And so firstly, post-stroke, if there's one thing that's most effective and most important to do, it's red light therapy to have potentially a complete recovery after strokes. And this has been documented. And so it's, Paul, I mean, this is so important for you. And it's just like so awesome that these things have just come together like this.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea.
I know. I kind of, when we first got on and we were just chatting, I was like, well, this guy is about to get red pilled. And
which is fine, I mean, but I'm really because, I mean, I went through some I did hyperbaric chamber therapy at a place called Aviv in the Villages in Florida, which did wonders for my speech. I had speech problems from the stroke. My speech came back, my walking came back, a lot of things came back, but this one area was the left eye optic nerve is the one area that has not improved. So when I'm hearing this, even though it's been a while since I've had the stroke, it's been 4 years, I'm still thinking, maybe this is something I should take a look at, because who knows?
I do believe it will work. I do. And there's some other supportive therapies, and there's a few things of looking at like how to support the eyes, and there's certain herbs and supplements that can help support. And it is miraculous. And there are cases, I think of one that got published by a laser institute that published their work through the British Medical Journal, and they covered a case of a girl named Leah that had a stroke when she was born, and she's 9 years old, during the time of an interview conducted with her after 3 months of being on, in this case, the laser therapy, but the LED therapy is, there are studies actually showing an even greater impact, which is interesting, and the ability for at-home use, and so anyway, just comparing that, but she goes from having very low test scores to having very limited social ability to being bullied to having deep friendships, and of her own words, she talks about how she is loved and appreciated for who she is as a person, and that she was bullied, and now she can actually interact, and she's got this ability. This was 9 years after she had a stroke when she was born.
Wow.
What hope is there for this child? And how in 3 months did she go to having normal test scores and then having normal social ability? And she's the kind of person that you just connect with immediately, and you just think, wow, like this was being blocked by like really oxygen deprivation in the brain, a big part of that. And there's a deprivation of oxygen in your eyes and in your brain, and different things that are happening. There's the mitochondria in your eyes and your brain is needing energy so it can perform its function. It's trying to, but it can't fully. And the pain is its attempt to heal itself, and that's why you're feeling the pain. But it's attempting to heal, and pain is actually part of the healing process.
Okay.
But it can't complete the process, and it needs support, and that's what you're experiencing. And then you just give it the support and watch what happens.
Okay. I mean, that's encouraging. This is very encouraging. So how can people find out more? They can go to your website. I have it in the link below. Is if they go to www.myredlight.com.
Yeah.
And I've got here, there's a promo code that if they use X, they could even get 10% off. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And this, well, like use X, or ideally if you use the code Paul, that will, that will help us to.
The code Paul would even be better.
There you go.
That way you'll know they came from this show, and at least they will know where it came from.
I'll tell you why it's funny is because X was when that was writing down, it was like refer to other said document. But so that's funny. But then while we're on, I was just like reaching out to my guys like, hey, can you make a code for X right now? because Paul's put X. So but it will work. But yeah, use Paul, or if you feel so motivated, then fine, X will work. But it will get you an additional 10% off. And yeah, look. What can I tell you? Like, this is, I think that the transition there is then to say, like, how do I equip you once you understand how powerful this is? And there's so much, right? There's so much that, because there's all these different conditions and situations that would say like, and I'll just kind of like, if you just see this for a second, I'll tell you, like, because a lot of people are like, well, I'm not really worried about cancer. But what about weight loss? What about fat burning and cellulite reduction and metabolism? It's actually better than the liposuction. How crazy is that? I could show you clinical studies on that. The thyroid function studies are amazing. It's helping your body actually produce its own, like your thyroid will actually produce its own thyroid hormones, T3 and T4. Thyroid antibody levels go down. All in clinical studies, TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone levels go down. And the need to take levothyroxine medications goes down dramatically in short periods of time, even when they do crappy studies that don't have, they're not actually remedial in the sense they're trying to reverse it. They're trying to just support it. But if you lean into it, you could see total turnarounds. I saw a woman that was unable to walk properly. She went 2.5 weeks later. Her name's Shannon. She went to compete in a marathon. She had Graves' disease, so hyperthyroidism. She had the light over her thyroid, over her whole body from like head to groin area. And her doctors couldn't believe it because her markers were so bad. And then everything normalized. And so we're seeing cases like this. But yeah, cellulite reduction, metabolism, anti-aging, acne, scars, rosacea. These are just examples. Hair growth, people, that's one of the best things to do. Sun damage, wrinkles and fine lines, droopy eyelids, under eye circles, broken capillaries, pain relief, wound healing. And there's certain wavelengths that are working for certain conditions. Oral health, injury healing, muscle building, athletic performance, post-recovery workout, mental stamina, cognitive performance, asthma, depression, anxiety, tinnitus, arthritis, multiple sclerosis. Look, there are thousands, literally tens. There's hundreds of thousands of studies on what I'm talking about. But once you understand a few key things, so you're not going to see every 75,000 different one of the diagnoses that exist today, which is kind of like a scam if you really start to understand it, because it links it to drugs, and it's based on a symptom, not on any kind of genes. And so you realize these are all symptoms, and you start getting like less attached to the fact I'm not supposed to live like this. This is that I can correct my cells function. I can correct the way my body works. But once you understand something like stem cell regeneration, if you could tap into that naturally in your body, and the wavelinks that are proven to do this are, are what
See the wavelengths. Yeah, you mentioned, I was watching as you're looking at your charts, got all the different diseases mentioned here, and then you're showing the appropriate wavelengths that's the most effective with the red light therapy. So it's a really exciting science to that.
Yeah.
Again, why hasn't this been a part of the whole thing? I mean, we're just now getting there, I guess.
I know.
I don't know why it isn't, because we could go down the big pharma's got a lot of reasons why it isn't. But someone just in the chat room just said that they saw you on Nino's show, David Nino Rodriguez. Actually, I'm going to be on his show next Monday. I was kind of ironic. He's a great guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So, and we changed the promo. Okay, there it is. So when you go to the website, guys, use that promo code Paul, save that 10%, and find out about all of this. I mean, you have a very extensive website here. It really breaks it down. It's very explainable. There's some videos to watch. It really is, I think, revolutionary. Would you agree? I mean, it's a revolutionary therapy.
Well, yes, I do. And like one of the things, Paul, would be, why doesn't everyone know about this? Typically, if something is out of reach, like for example, if no one can afford it, then there's really no point in talking about it. It's kind of cruel to even talk about it. But red light therapy is actually, bar the developing world, like, third world, developing world, it is affordable to everyone. But in those contexts, the best thing to do is to get a chicken bulb from Amazon for $10, and you will get benefits of red light therapy. The severity, the irradiance would be somewhere between 10 times less. So that all the studies I just followed were on LED, because there's more of the power. 90% of the power is going into light, whereas with a bulb, like incandescent or halogen, 90% is going into the heat. And so you want all the power going into light, and that's why it is so much better. But it is more affordable than any other thing. It's more affordable than a single supplement. And the reason for that is that a single supplement is used by one person and reordered every month. This is one and done. Or you can, like, for example, with us, you can do it on payment plans. And so you'd pay what you'd pay, like that $50 that you were paying a month for one or two supplements. You would just pay that instead for red light therapy. If you were that limited, it's worth it. I have a supplement company, so why would I say this when people can reorder my things? I just want people to get better. So I don't care about that. I just, think about things strategically. How do I do this? And yes, if you combine it, then awesome as well. But the point is, when you start realizing, wow, I can't afford this. In fact, I can't afford not to do this, because it doesn't cost me anything in comparison to what all these other things cost me for me. And you look at the chart that I put on before, and you look at how many different medications, supplements, creams would be used for all of those functions.
I see.
So this is like the Lord of the Rings, one ring to rule them all, right? So
one yeah, and in other words, you can piecemeal it. I need this, and this, or I can just get under the red light. Okay. And you have different, I've seen on your website, you have different mechanisms of how the light can be used. I mean, you got different tools.
True.
Like it can be handheld, or it can be, do you have something right there you can just show us?
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, if there's one thing people get, I recommend them to get like a panel like this, and this will, hold on, there we go. Okay. All right, so you've got like a fully customizable touch screen here, and the thing that I need to tell people is, like, how do you distinguish? Like, here you've got in a case here, I
see it. Yep.
Where you've got, now watch what happens here. So that was, you saw red there. This is an example of using mode here. I'm going to put all, and now let's go. Notice how I've got some 480 blue light there.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Now you've got near infrared. You can't see near infrared, but it's shining through every bulb. This is an example of dual LEDs, which is super uncommon. So that all bulbs have two different wavelengths coming through them, and then you've got the ability, the tested irradiance, which you can test with meters like this. You see something like this, or like you take, people are worried about toxicity, so you take like a meter like this is an EMF reader.
Okay.
And so I'll put this against my computer. All right, now let's put it against the device.
Oh,
okay, it's not on. All right, let's turn it on. Let's see what happens.
Turn it on, see what it does. Still 0.
Yep.
Compared to your computer. What was your computer again? Put that back over there. Was it like 90 or something like that? Let's see. 21, 32 point. Yeah. 25, averaging around 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, but it went up to as high as 32. And so, people are typing on their computers all day. You're in front of a red light for 20 minutes and then you're freaking out.
Yeah. Oh, he went silent. Hang on a second. Your mic went, you must have hit your mic there. There you go.
See an example of, there's 9 different wavelengths here, and I'll show you what it looks like here. So if I go settings, I'm going to go mode. I'll go all brightness. So here, see, sorry, man. There we go. Look, that's 480, 590, and I can turn that off and on. 9 different wavelengths here. And so here's the 630 that we looked at in the study. See that?
Yeah, for breast cancer. Yep.
Well, it was 660 actually, and there's 630 for lymphoma. Yeah, and then 670, 810, 830, 850, 1060. And so now I can dim it down if I'm like, look, this is a little strong, I want to put it down, or I can put it all up the way. It's pretty cool. So you've got a lot of options, and then like the key is what I tell people to look for if you're shopping for a device, whether it's mine or whatever you're looking for. Just you look for a device that has the irradiance. That's the number one thing, which is the amount of power delivered. And in this case, so you need to know what the number is. In this case, it's 205 milliwatts per centimeter squared at 3 inches. That is a tremendous amount of power. It's the highest tested irradiance of devices that are on the market. Most important, second most important, wavelengths. Does it have the wavelengths I need? Because we looked at all of that. So in this case, we have 9 wavelengths. What do most devices have? 2 wavelengths, just 660 and 850. So that's a huge distinguishing factor. The other one is, the third one will be dual LEDs, because what happens now is, if you saw what I showed on the device, now typically one bulb will be red and the next one will be near infrared. The next one will be red and near infrared. But what if you had all red and all near infrared on every part of your body, evenly distributed, doubling the amount of LEDs that you have? So you've got twice what you can see, which is better than having it twice as big, because it's twice the concentration in the most important areas over all your vital organs. And then low EMFs to 0 EMFs, which you just saw. Those are the things to look for. If you look for that, you've got a device that will last, for a long time. In this case, it's a 3-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee to test it, see how much you like it. And then most importantly, it has a 50,000 hour rated lifespan, which spans actually over 100 years, even if a family is using it. So it's designed to last people for their life, and you can see that with the quality. It's when Mike Adams, when I sent him out a device for Health Ranger, he said he's done some promotions and stuff with me. He said, I've never seen anything at this high quality in my life before, which was amazing. I was like, whoa. I was like, why aren't we recording it? He's going to say it for me.
Why wasn't that being recorded? Okay.
yeah, it was great.
We're going to blow it across everywhere.
Exactly.
Well, great guy. Mike's a great guy.
He's an exceptional person, and I'm glad you said that. But yeah, it's just, when you make decisions like this, you want to be able to do something that's going to be smart and wise for you and your family, and it also teaches people to stay the course, because I got this from an event that I went to. Right, once that runs out, will I order another one? I don't know. Am I even going to take this? I don't know. Will my body absorb it? I don't know. It's just, you kind of get confused. Whereas red light is just do it. You know how important it is. You know it's going to fuel all your different cells. You know it's going to help your liver function, your kidney function, your heart, your brain. It's going to do X, Y, Z. Just do that 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. If you can, at least 12 minutes 3 times a week. That's kind of the minimum to give you really great results. There was a study by Birmingham University that showed a minute of exposure increased cell viability by 44%, 145%. So it made 1 minute per day. And that was in rats, but it was a spinal cord injury study. It showed that it was regenerative, even of that short period of time of the spine and neuroprotective. So like, you're like, well, I've only got 5 minutes. Don't be a perfectionist. Just turn it on. Be in front of it for 5 minutes. Be in front of it for 2 minutes. Your body will respond. It'll switch on, and you'll connect circadian rhythms. You'll start interfacing with the body. And once people start thinking like this, they'll get less perfectionistic. They'll be more into the mode of like, let's just get it done. Like, I want to live my life. I want to live the best life. And that's where people get real happy.
There you go, folks. God said, let there be light.
Somebody said 30 minutes even better, and I agree with them. Sorry, Paul, what were you saying?
Let there be light, and so why not have red light? Okay, I mean, so let's do it. I love the fact that there's this is an incredible. The statistics are showing, the research is being done, the testimonies are coming forward. People are you know what, and if you really get in tune, I mean, you got to really kind of allow your body to absorb the light. And what you're saying is you've figured out a way to get the right frequency. That's not the right word, because that's
it is a frequency
of the light and apply it to the right areas of your body or your whole body, however way you want to do this, but follow the path. And is there any if people go there and they order it, okay, is there some charts, is there some explanation of recommended settings for certain things that come with this?
Yeah, exactly. One thing that makes it really easy as well, like in general, what I would tell anyone for like a device is just put it on all wavelengths at once. And because all of those are beneficial, I don't know of anyone in any cases where it's like, look at all the studies, or these wavelengths aren't good for these people. No.
I see. It's all good, but you could concentrate it on certain frequencies if that's what you're needing. Okay.
It's true. And so then the easy way to do that is to go somewhere like here, seen, and then you'll see, fat loss.
Oh, I see. Oh, good.
Joint pain.
Oh, you simplified it. You made it Paul Begley ability.
Yeah, exactly. So as you can imagine,
I can operate that.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So if I hit sleep, notice how it's like red and orange, so it's not going to hit any blue. But notice if I hit skin, pulsation is another option. And by the way, it can pulse. But seeing if I hit skin, notice now it's got the 590 in the blue.
I see.
So it's utilizing that, and so But as you can see, you get full body exposure. By full body, I mean like kind of head to groin area. That's all the critical areas. So hence why. And then like some there on the page you'll see come with a free stand, so you can lie horizontal underneath it, or you could hang it to a wall with a wall pulley kit. And man, it's awesome. Thank you, Paul, for being interested in getting this to your audience, and we'll have to make sure that you get the help you need as well. So let's connect on that too.
Okay. Jonathan, folks, the man, no longer a myth, but he may be a legend. We'll see. But anyway, we're so glad he's with us. And Red Light Therapy, go there right now, guys. You can go www.myredlight.com. Promo code Paul. Okay, promo code Paul. And you can save 10%. But find out, read, go to his website, read the really good information there. And if you don't have Red Light, this might be the time to start. Okay, Jonathan, thank you for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Paul. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for learning. And I'm loving reading the comments here. And check us out over at myredlight.com, and you'll see as well, we've got like a 3-hour plus presentation there if people want to go through all the slides that we looked at. And then let us know how we can support you as well. You'll see on the page the expected wait times based on major demand, but it's so great to get in early, get in your place in front of the queue, so that you kind of because things are so unique with what we're doing. It's so unique, and everything's hand tested. And so we're testing your radiance, EMF, all these things are hand tested. And so you see the expected wait time there, but we take care of all our customers. Like, it's the most important thing I do in my life and career. And we're on like weekly calls often. I'm actually starting one here in a moment to like be with our customers, help them, support them, which is super rare for companies to do that. And so we're just committed to getting people results. So thanks, Paul. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you. All right. And guys, I'll see you next time right here. Okay. God bless.